Hi friends, it is Tuesdays with Tonya. I'm Tonya here with My County Link, and it is 2023. Can you believe that? I hope you all had wonderful holidays. The weather is my kind of weather for winter. It's a little rainy, but it's not freezing rain, so I like that. I am here at the beautiful Shawnee Prairie out here, and they have so many great exhibits, but today specifically I am in the Tecumseh room, and I want to talk a little bit about how that got started, some information in here. We're going to meet up with Mandy Martin, who's a naturalist out here, and she's going to go over some of the information a little bit more in detail. So let me turn around and show you a few things, and then we'll meet up with Mandy. So this has been designated in memory of Susan F. Gray as the Tecumseh room, and she was one of the original board members in 1972 when the dark parks were just one park. So she was one of the original board members, and when it started back in 1972. So we'll go back on in here and we'll look at the murals in here. We have Susan North's, this is the Lasting Legacy 2012 that they have up here in the room, because she did all of their mural work out here. She was a well-known artist here in Darke County and surrounding areas, and ironically she had this room done prior to her passing. So what a blessing that they had this room all ready for when Tecumseh came. We were out here in June, and we were here when they brought the Tecumseh statue back out here, and he has his place right outside here. And in this room we're going to talk a little bit about all the things that are in here, and we're going to give a little bit of information about the different parts of what's in here and more about Tecumseh. So let's go over here and talk to Miss Mandy. Hi Mandy, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
We are well today. So we are in the room, and you're going to kind of walk us around, show us a little bit about the exhibits, and then people then can come in here Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5, and they can visit, they can get more information. There's lots of other exhibits that they can do, and then the park outside's open all the time, correct?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
All Darke County parks are open until dusk.
Oh, very good.
And then the nature center itself is open 9 to 5.
Okay.
Monday through Saturday.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about, I was showing some of the mural here. Tell me a little bit about, you were talking earlier about how the different hills and things are out there. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Okay, sure. I'm super excited to be here with you guys today. There's a lot of history that we want to share with our people who live and our residents in Darke County parks and the surrounding area. So we could talk all day, but I'll go fast.
I know there's a lot of great stuff in here, though. Lots of great stuff. So we'll give snippets, and then we'll encourage them to come in.
Yeah. So first of all, this structure behind me that you're gonna see here, that is a Shawnee dwelling. So the Eastern Woodland Indians built homes that were made out of saplings and bark and even cattail mats. So a lot of times when we see on TV and in books, you see that the Native Americans were in teepees, but that's actually not true. So the Eastern Woodland tribes built these structures, which we called wigwams or wickiups, and they were really durable structures. They were 100% weatherproof, waterproof, especially with cattail mats. And then in the center, they had a fire, so there was a big circle in the opening in the center. So, and then the mural that Susan did for us depicts a little bit what the village may have looked like when Tecumseh and his brother were here in the early 1800s. So the mural depicts the cames, which are from the glacier. Those are behind the nature center. If you stand up on the hill behind the nature center, you can see several cames as you look south. And we know in the early 1800s there was anywhere from 3 to 9,000 Native Americans here protesting the signing of the Treaty of Greenville.
Okay.
So yeah, that's one start to this room. There's a lot.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'll keep backing up. We'll kind of go around the room.
Okay.
So as we come over here, tell us again about the three sisters you had talked about in the farming part.
Yeah, so the Three Sisters was a crop companion planting that the Native Americans did. A lot of them did that. It included squash, beans, and corn. And the squash, of course, grew mostly on the ground. Some of it would climb, of course. But the leaves from the squash and the pumpkin vines would protect the soil, would keep the moisture in. Then, of course, it had little thorns on it, so it would repel animals. And then the beans would be climbing beans. And you can actually find heirloom beans called the Ohio pole bean.
Oh, really?
Which we know that Native Americans planted. And then, of course, the corn would hold up the bean. So a companion planting, each plant depended on each other, and then they all, did really well because they were all growing together.
Oh, yeah, so I can see now. Okay, so the beans are climbing up the corn.
Yes.
And then there's just, okay.
And, when you do a little research about it, you start to see how they planted it. There was a timing there. You had to plant the corn first so that the corn was up, so that the beans had something to climb on.
Okay. Very cool.
So yeah, that's called the Three Sisters Garden.
Okay. And then I see here we have a Native American ceremonial drum.
We do. And we had to take the drumsticks out because the kids would come in here and pound on it.
Not gonna lie, I would have maybe tried that if they were here.
Yeah. So there's a lot of information more about where this came from.
Okay.
And it's not a replica. It's a real.
That's a
so
very
really
cool piece. Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go.
Sound.
There you go.
One day I was here in the Nature Center and this gentleman came in. I don't know where he was from. He was a Native American, and he said, "Can I go play your drum?"
Oh,
and,
beautiful.
He did, and it was the most beautiful.
Oh,
yeah. So it was so.
Because he would have known how to where to hit it and
he
where
had
to make
the
it. Yeah.
skills. I think his family did it. He came down here and played it. He played for about 5 minutes and he left. So.
What a neat experience.
Yeah, what a great experience.
And then you told me these were sort of replicas of the treaty over here that people can come and see.
One of them is the 1814 treaty. So there was 2 treaties here in Greenville, 1795, 1814.
Okay. And then this I found to be really interesting.
Yes.
So there's like I said, there's a magnifying glass in here, and I was using it earlier. I'm going to show you all a little bit about these, or not a little about this. I'm going to show these to you, and then she's going to tell us a little bit more about them, and then you can come in and you can read all about these. Yes. So tell us what these are.
So these items are pretty much our most treasured pieces that we have here at the Nature Center. We have 3 medals, 2 treaty medals, and 1 George Washington peace medal. Each of those medals are not replicas. They are originals, and there was a wealthy collector, I believe New Jersey is where he was from, and he noticed that these medals went up for sale. So the original medals that we have were in King Farouk of Egypt's collection, and when he passed, they were selling them. So this wealthy man in New Jersey bought them, of course did the research on them, and mailed them to us.
Oh, that is amazing.
He said they belong here in Greenville. So
gotta love people like that.
Yeah, he mailed them to us in a manila envelope, which we still talk about today. Because the value,
it was a big chance, wasn't it?
The value of these, was pretty much priceless, at least for us. And they came in the mail that way. And we have all the documentation with them that says that they are originals.
That is so cool. And this one here that I'm kind of zooming in on here, this is George Washington shaking hands
with a Native American. So George Washington at the time, he had these medals commissioned, and his role was to make good relationships with the chiefs and the tribes that he came across. So he had the medals made so that he could give them as show of good faith. You can trust us. So those were in that collection, and that guy sent them to us, and so we had them here.
What a treasure that we have.
It is.
And then you had said, though, over here that these silver pieces were found here, right?
Yeah. So, when we talk about, we know that the, Shawnee Prophetstown was here. We know that there were, over 3,000 Native Americans here from many tribes. But we also know that there were people that traded with them. So we had John Kinsey, who was a silversmith, and I believe he was from New York, and he was traded with and lived with the Native Americans. So he traveled with different tribes, and he made beautiful pieces out of silver. So these are what we call the Kinsey brooches, and they were found here in the woods at Shawnee, Prairie, 1993.
Wow. And you said just about 10 inches under the surface.
They said about 10 inches under the soil. They recovered these. They found the touch marks on them that had his initials, and they figured that they were Kinsey brooches. So.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah, so that's another really great artifact.
Oh, yeah. And found it right here. Yes. That's amazing. Okay, now come over here and tell me a little bit about these replicas that we have that really note a big part of the history of that time, right?
Right. So as we know, there were 2 treaties, the 1795 and 1814. So the second treaty, both treaties, they smoked what they would call peace pipes, symbolic of the meetings that they had. And they had silver pipes made for the 1814 treaty. And there were 3 of those. One was with the Wyandot Indians, one with the Delaware, and the other one was with the Shawnee tribe. So right now we know that there are 2 pipes out there. I believe one of them is in a museum on display, not sure where. The other one we know is not on display. It's in a basement somewhere in a box. And the third one we don't know. So we did get the original that was in the basement in the box. I say Missouri, I'm not sure what state. Roger would know for sure. Anyway, they sent it here for us to look at, and then we had a replica made of the 1814 one. We asked them to have it. They told us no. Should be here.
Yeah.
We think it should be here.
Maybe we'll work on that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be a project for Mandy and Tonya
So
here.
we would like to get the original here.
So this is a replica, though, of what that would have looked like. Because we were talking earlier, and it surprised me that it was of silver. I would have thought it been like the long pipe that we kind of talked about earlier. Yeah. So it's really cool to see that the replica is a little bit different. As you said, it was more of a special piece, and it symbolized that.
And I think that was one of the things when they were trying to build relationships with the Native Americans. They had a lot of things that were symbolic. Mm-hmm. So, silver would be more symbolic. The images that were imprinted on them were symbolic. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why they went with silver for that. But as you know, Tecumseh was not in favor of the treaty. He was not in favor of the United States government. So he wanted his people and all of the Native Americans to go back to their ways before the settlers came. So Tecumseh aligned himself with the British. So the British made a gun for him. It was called, let's see here. Oh, it had a special name to the gun. I apologize. I'm not sure what it was, but we have all that information here. But this is a replica of the gun that the British gave to Tecumseh. And we had this made in 2016.
Okay.
There was a gentleman here, one of our park volunteers, Lee Wise. He made this gun pretty much exact to the original, and we do know for sure that the original is in the Museum of the Fur Trade.
Okay.
And again, Missouri, maybe. Not sure where that museum is, but that gun is there. I know that for a fact.
Okay.
So.
And then this up here, I thought this was really cool because I was looking at it, and before you had talked to me, I thought, maybe it went around their waist, but it looked a little short for that. But I thought, maybe there was like a belt that kind of tied to it. And then I thought these probably meant something, but I wasn't sure. But then you had explained that these are symbols of like the hands on either side. So you have on each side, and then in the middle there was a heart. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So this is also a replica. We call it wampum. It can be wampum belt. It can be wampum string. It can be wampum beads. They're actually from the quahog clam shells. So if you go to the eastern shore in the summer, you're going to find clam shells that have a little purple in them.
Okay.
And those are the types of clams that they made wampum out of. Okay. And so wampum was made, like I said, into strings, into belts. This is it's a replica, but it really is real wampum. Okay. And it was made by Nancy Stump. And it signifies the meetings. So anytime that the Native Americans, especially the Eastern Woodland Native Americans, anytime they had a meeting, a spiritual event, anything that they needed to record what happened during that event, they would give wampum. And the wampum was the visual recording of that meeting. In good faith, we met. This is what we shared. This is what we talked about. So it was a symbol of the meetings. So that wampum belt there has the Native American hand on the left, of course the white settlers, the U.S. government on the right, and the heart in the middle.
That is wild.
And I did a little research. There was some speculation that there was a wampum belt in Canada that belongs to Tecumseh.
Oh, wow.
So I talked to the curator up there in Fort Malden in Canada. And he said they took that belt off display because they found that it was not Tecumseh's belt. Okay. But they do have his beads.
Wow.
So Tecumseh, as he traveled, he collected the clam shells. They traded them too, of course, with the Eastern Shore tribes. And so he collected beads and he made string of wampum. And so at the museum in Canada, they actually have Tecumseh's beads.
Okay. Wow, so much history.
So much history.
So much history. That is awesome. Well, Mandy, thank you so much for taking the time. We're going to wrap this one up, and I'm sure we're going to be back out here looking at other displays and so forth. So I'm just going to go one more time around the room here. Again, the beautiful mural. So stay with me as we go each week to around Darke County and around and learn all the different things that we have in our county. We have so much history, but definitely get out here. You've got to see this stuff in person. I am one that could spend hours just in this room alone. So have yourselves a great week, and we'll see you next week.